Hello everyone and welcome back to Just Painting Minis. Today the mini we're painting is a event exclusive mini for 2026, Cadia Unbroken. So a lovely Cadian officer model, going to fit in great with the rest of my guard. The way we're going to approach this is we're going to spend 2 hours on this model and we're going to split our painting into two halves. The first half is going to be a really quick and easy and effective way of getting this person so that they're ready for the tabletop, using things like speed paints, washes to do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. In the second hour, we're then going to come back, put on some extra polish, including things through layering, extra highlights, extra detailing and stuff like that, just to take her to the next level. So we're starting with a off-white prime. I'm using skeleton bone from Army Painter. And the first thing we're going to do is just whack a brown wash onto the model. I'm using Agrax Earthshade, everyone's favourite brown wash, but I'm sure you could get away with some other stuff as well. And as you can see, what we're doing is putting a really liberal amount of wash all over the model. We're doing this for two reasons. One, to give us some depth for when we start using speed paints. But secondly, for our first stage, that's just going to be our cloth colour sorted. We're then going to move on to a camo green speed paint in order to do the carapace armour, I guess it would be what she's wearing, on this officer. So using a big breath brush, making sure you have lots of that speed paint in your brush to make sure that it covers nicely. And take your time, try not to go get any paint back on any of the cloth so you don't have to tidy that up. We're then moving on to a red, again using a speed paint here, just to fill in any bits of red. And the bits that I spotted here was the sash on the front, and then the couple of, I guess you might call them cuffs, on each of her arms. After that, we're going to go to a dark brown, again sticking to a speed paint, and we're going to pick out all the different bits that would be a leather. So that includes things like the gun holster, the leather on the scabbard, her belt, and also the strap that runs across her chest. With this last one especially being careful not to get over either onto the cloth or the green. And then moving on to Black Legion to cover up black areas. That's going to be her boots, and that's also going to be her glove. Took me a second to figure out that she's got two gloves. She's holding one glove in her left hand, so that's what's going on there. And also then going to just fill in the scabbard with that Black Legion too. That's not a scabbard. Handle. A little bit on the visor as well. Being really careful here. Moving on to a polished silver speed paint to fill in all of our different metallic areas. So that will include metal bits of the scabbard. Things that are going to be gold later, I also tend to base coat with a silver. Don't forget the eye augmetic. At this point, we're just going to put that as silver. And then, of course, the entirety of the sword, so both the blade and the handle, are going to be silver. I should say the guard. That's the guard. Next, moving on to flesh, so using our rat skin flesh, filling in flesh bits, which on this lady is going to be her face and also her right hand. And then finally going to our gold. So I'm using brass scorpion here to pick out some of the easy to reach bits that would be gold. So the aquila on the chest, the tassels on the bottom of her sash, her shoulder pad, belt buckles, anything that I can do nice and quickly. And then finally I'm just going to throw a wash on all of these gold, metal and flesh skin bits. And again, I'm just using Agrax Earthshade here. So to get this person ready for battle, we're going to put some Dawnstone on their base, using an old brush here, being really rough, just getting it in all over the base. You'll notice that this lady is also standing on a sandbag, so just going to use a darkish yellow. You can use whatever colour you like for this. I like to rim my bases black. I think that looks really nice and clean. And then finally just going to throw a black wash Mine is from Vallejo, all over that base. And there we have, after 1 hour, a fairly decent looking officer. And you could run this on a game without a problem, I reckon. What we're going to do next is see how we can do some fast and effective techniques just to make her stand out and pop a little bit more. So firstly, we're going to go back with our brass scorpion and go and paint bits gold. That would have been too much effort, really, to do the first time round. So that includes, essentially, all of her armour pieces are lined with gold, if you look at the box art. Actually, not the chest piece, but the shoulders are, and I decided to do the chest piece lined with gold too, given that she's an officer. As you can imagine, this takes some time. Be careful with it. You don't want to ruin any of your previous work, and using a good tipped brush is helpful. Also going back over the sword guard, making that gold now as well, as befits an officer. On her hat, she also has this gold trim. So again, taking our time, going around that, and painting that too. Next, using Dawnstone, so a grey, in order to highlight up some of our black. So I'll include her gloves, and then going to her sword handle as well. Going to a Mephiston red, firstly dotting the lens of her eye so she can see, and then highlighting up anything that we speed painted red before. So that includes her sash and her cuffs. And then using a Doomball brown to bring up the colour on some of our brown areas, including the scabbard, including her belt, and including the strap that goes across her chest. And for both of these colours, build up the layer. You can build up the layers over a few different passes, and that's what I was doing here, though I haven't shown it all for time. Making the areas at the top the lightest. I find this really effective when you water down your paint a little bit, so that each layer that you put on only leaves a little effect. Next, going to the skin. First with rat skin flesh, straight out the pot. Highlighting up both our hands here, and then going to highlight up her face. Trying to pick out the points that would catch the light, including things like her chin, her cheek, and her nose. Then go back and mix a bit of off-white and Ushabti bone into that skin colour, and just do a second highlights over things like the knuckles, the tip of her nose, the angle of her cheek, just to make them really stick out and prominent. Using just Ushabti bone, so an off-white, to highlight the trim of the cloth, going all the way around, trying to just hit the raised area there. And then we're going to use the same colour to highlight the cloth itself. Again, thinking about which areas would catch the light and painting them up with the brighter bone. I think this effect starts to look really nice, especially on her robes that she's wearing. If you're not sure which bits to paint, I'd suggest holding your model up to a light and see which bits you can see when you look at the model from the top down. The bits that the light hits and the bits that you can see should be the bits that you try and highlight up using this technique. And then using an army green from Army Painter just to highlight up some of the carapace armour. So picking out bits that are more prominent, again including bits at the top, to try and create a bit of a transition across that plate. Do take your time with this, can be very fiddly, especially around any bits with like emblems, especially as we get close to the edge as well. Finally, going back with our brass scorpion again, just hitting different bits of our gold, bringing out a brighter colour. All in all, that's probably taken us another hour to do, so 2 hours in total. Let's have a look at the finished model. So hopefully that gave you an idea of how to paint up an officer quickly and effectively, potentially using staging to get something onto the table quick, and then tidying them up later on. If you like this video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me paint next.